Prepare to experience the strongest radio allowable by law. Secrets will be revealed. Myths dispelled. From the studio gym where excuses never apply, it's Superhuman Radio with your host, Carl Lenore.
Welcome back to another episode of Superhuman Radio. Today is July 29th, 2020. The summer is almost over. You know, you can always tell what day of the week it is by how much whisker I have. I basically shave Monday and I don't shave for the rest of the week. So by Friday, I'll have a small beard. You'll know it's Friday. We have a really good show today. We're being joined by a good friend of the show, Alex Leaf, today, about a project that he's been working on for a very, very long time that's going to help a lot of you who are just stifled by how to lose body fat with his fat loss blueprint. And then later in the show, we're going to talk about breast milk. I think I'm the only health and fitness podcaster that talks about breast milk. Why is that? Because breast milk is the only thing in nature made to be food for humans. And we can learn so much by understanding breast milk. And we're going to be talking about those moms out there that continue to go to the gym while they're pregnant and beyond. They're actually helping their babies. Go figure. Kind of evolution at work, if you really think about it. Our title sponsor is Legendary Foods. Without them, this show would not go on. The website is eatlegendary.com. The code is SHR10 for 10% off your entire order. Everyone who goes there and buys Legendary products loves them because they are low carb, no added sugar, and taste decadent, which proves that you can make these types of snacks without pouring a lot of sugar into them. So go there, let them know that you heard about them here on Superhuman Radio. And now, without further delay, a person I call my friend, Alex Leaf. How you doing, Alex?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Wonderful, wonderful. It's no exaggeration to say that you've been working on this probably since you graduated, maybe even before that, because you've always been interested in how diet affects the body, even before you graduated with your master's in nutrition, right?
Yeah, I've been involved in nutrition for coming up on a decade now, actually. So it's always just been a pet interest of mine because I spent most of my life, ever since elementary school, doing competitive wrestling. And so my interests slowly shift from fitness to nutrition as I got older.
You know, it's really funny that you recognize the role of nutrition because a lot of young people who play competitive sports, they're looking for something magical like creatine, when the reality is the greatest anabolic response and the greatest muscle gains come from what you put in your mouth, not what supplements you buy at GNC.
Yep.
I don't think you have to turn the mic on and off unless you want to. There's no need to. But anyway, okay. So let's talk about the fat loss blueprint. When did you publish this, first of all?
So it came out about mid-June, and so it's been out for about 1.5 to 2 months now.
Okay. And what makes this different than many of the other promises to help people lose weight? Most people just want to lose weight. They don't really differentiate between body weight in general and fat loss. So you distinguish between those two, right?
Yeah, there's numerous differences, actually. There isn't. So before this program even got created, when myself, my wife Brianna Thoreau, and our good friend who helped create the program, Ari Witten, we all went out and tried to look at what fat loss programs were available, and they were all extremely limited in their scope. They would either focus on weight loss rather than fat loss, which can be deceiving. Or they would just focus exclusively on diet and exercise, which we thought was just not helpful, because everyone knows that they need to eat less and move more, so to speak, in order to lose fat. But it's like, how do you do that sustainably? And what about all these other aspects of lifestyle that we're beginning to find are associated with metabolic disease and body composition? And so our program really wanted to look at everything that was out there and then try and give it to the user in an understandable format.
So really, when you're talking, I'm thinking to myself, man, you got to put together a curriculum in order to endow people with all of the moving pieces. And that's not what most people do. Most people look at one thing. So the consumer wants to know what the one thing is. What's the one thing I have to do? And sadly, there is not one thing. There's a multitude of things. But to satisfy consumption, most people go, okay, we're going to talk about this one thing. We'll sell a lot of books. But what you're talking about is literally a curriculum, because there are so many different silos in this process, so many different moving pieces in this process, that you have to educate a person.
Yeah, 100%. And so like when people purchase this program and go into it, it might be a little overwhelming at first. And we've received feedback specifically about that, because they're like, oh my God, there's 18 lesson plans in here. Like, where do I start? And well, we'll start at the beginning, because the program's designed to build on itself, starting with kind of the most fundamental aspects and then branching out into much more nuanced but important interventions that you can do to help build muscle and lose fat. Because the focus, again, isn't on weight loss, it's on fat loss. And it's on getting a good body composition. And so a huge part of that is building muscle, because I think a lot of people get so focused on losing fat that they don't realize that once they do get to their goal weight, they aren't going to look anything like how they want. And that's because they haven't focused on the building muscle component. And so that's what our program seeks to do.
You know, it's funny. Anytime I have friends who tell me they want to lose weight, I always make sure to back up and say to them, well, you want to lose fat. And I'd say weight loss in a vacuum is not necessarily good. Ask somebody who's wasting away from cancer. And that's weight loss. So would you want that kind of? Oh no, I wouldn't. Well, yeah, exactly. What you want is you want fat loss. You want to maintain or grow more muscle. Muscle is metabolic currency. It's going to do so many wonderful things for you. And sadly, this message is lost on women. I have to believe that a large portion of the people that you are going to receive requests for your guide from are women, but they don't want to know that. They just want to see the scale change. What do you say to them?
Well, actually 85 to 90% of our sales have been to women based on the demographics that we have. So yeah, you're directly on point there. And it's one of the points that we try to hammer across in this program is that the scale can be very deceiving, and you need to use numerous different data points to assess your progress, because not only is the scale just looking at body weight, it's not body composition, but it can also be manipulated by changes in muscle mass, which is a good thing, and changes in body water, which could happen because of their regular hormonal cycles or because they changed their diet. Maybe they were low carb and now they're eating more carbs. They gain several pounds overnight and freak out. So it's helping them understand that the scale can be useful, but it definitely cannot be the only thing that you rely upon. And in fact, we actually tell them that it's probably better in the beginning to just avoid the scale, because it's almost as if all women, and I'm not trying to make an absolute statement, but I'm going to say that the majority of the time, women have a visceral reaction, even if they aren't aware of it. They have an unconscious drive to satisfy the scale weight, and they will start acting unconsciously to deviate from whatever plan they have set out in order to satisfy what's happening on the scale. And that's not always advantageous. And so it's like, just avoid the scale. Let's, how do you feel? Like, are your clothes fitting better? Do you look better in the mirror? What's your significant other think? And we have people that have come into this program and they're like, my weight hasn't budged in the last month, but I've lost an inch around my waist and I feel like I have more energy. I'm stronger. And we're like, that's progress. Like, I mean, you can see all of these before and after photos, millions of them, doing a simple Google search about like women, for example, that start resistance training, and they show photos of them at like 130 pounds before and they were chunky, and then after incredibly lean, but the exact same weight because they built up that muscle tissue.
And there's a transition period that's troublesome for women as well. So women who embark on losing body fat while maintaining or growing muscle, they will always say their thighs are getting bigger. I don't want my thighs to get bigger. And you have to explain to them that this is a transition. Your thighs may be bigger now because the muscles are pumped from the workout you're doing, but as your body fat disappears, your thighs will end up shrinking. But it's that moment in time where they go, my thighs feel tight in my pants. It's like they don't care about any of the other positive changes. It's just that their thighs feel bigger, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, it's funny too, because it's also trying to help them understand that muscle is more dense than fat. So their thighs transition to be bigger because of the muscle plus the fat. But when they lose that fat, ultimately their thighs will be smaller than when they started because muscle's more dense.
Yeah. So another thing that I have a great appreciation for what you've done here. It takes a lot of work to put together and assemble what you have assembled in these lesson plans. And that's why I say it's a curriculum. It's not a book that you read and get the silver bullet. Oh, this is the one thing I have to do. In fact, I would suggest that if you are a personal trainer, you should buy this plan because it will pay you back thousands and thousands of dollars because your customers will be so successful in achieving the bodies that they want. Most personal trainers are good at showing people how to target muscles and train, but they're very, very scant on the advice that they give about diet. They turn to something that someone printed out years ago and here, just eat this way. And that doesn't work. If we know anything, we know that medicine has become individualized. It's called precision medicine. Well, listen, diet is the same thing. What works for one doesn't work for another. And one of the things I have a great appreciation of what you've done here, that a lot of peri and postmenopausal women will fall in love with you for doing it. And that is acknowledging the metabolic differences in hormonal milieux in women who are peri and postmenopause. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. So this is lesson number 15 in our program, and it's women's tips and tricks. And so it was developed by my wife, Brianna Thoreau, who many of you might be familiar with. And it basically focuses on clearing the air about a lot of common issues that women have with dieting, because men are relatively simple creatures. Endless stories about a couple going on a fat loss journey together. The guy just stops putting cream in his coffee, loses 10 pounds in a week, right? And the woman stops putting cream in her coffee, gains 10 pounds. And so women are just more complex. And part of that is due to the regular menstrual cycles and the hormonal cycles that they go through. It causes changes in their physiology that can make dieting easier or more difficult depending on what part of the cycle they're in. And so this program is designed to discuss all of that and help them understand everything. That's something that in every lesson plan, we don't just tell people what to do. We want them to really understand the rationale behind it. And so we explain that to them, and then we provide them with actionable steps about how they can modify their dieting template in line with their cycle. So for example, appetite's usually suppressed during the follicular phase. When they start their period, their appetite goes down. And for those like first 2 weeks, give or take, they are generally able to diet a lot harder. But then appetite picks up, they become more insulin resistant when progesterone starts to increase during the follicular phase. And so it's helping them understand this, and to kind of understand that as just one example, you are probably going to be able to diet a little harder in the beginning of your cycle, and then you should ease back a little bit during the second part, because that's taking advantage of your physiology. Then also helping them understand, some of the common fallacies that pop up in their head, because women are, like how we discussed earlier, they're obsessed with getting skinny. And a lot of them are afraid of lifting weights because they don't want to bulk up. And so it's helping them understand that, like, look, a lot of these ideas you have aren't true, and we want to help you understand that so that you can really move forward. Another common one I want to mention is in postmenopausal women. A lot of women gain weight when they enter into menopause, and they think that, like, it's just because their hormones are all screwed up, and they assume that it's just super difficult to lose weight when you're in this stage of your life. And what we try to emphasize to them is that, no, it's not. The reason most women gain weight when they enter into menopause is because they actually just start eating more and becoming more sedentary. And if you maintain these habits that we outlined in this program, it's not going to be more difficult for you to lose fat and gain muscle. Like, it might take a little more effort. And that's simply because, yeah, if you're not on hormone replacement therapy, then you might have a little more trouble with fatigue, things of that nature. That's understandable because hormones do impact us in that way. But it's not impossible. And it's getting them to understand that, half the battle is your mindset. You need to just believe that you can do it and, keep pushing forward despite some obstacles that might pop up.
So since, I don't want to make it sound like this is just for women, but women are the ones that have the biggest trouble, and they stress the most about weight loss. In fact, I don't think any man has ever gotten off a scale and said, I'm never going to eat again. I think every woman has said that at least 10 times in her life.
Yeah.
And it's an absurdity, right? I'm never going to eat again. That's it. I'm done. It's like, no. But let's talk about rapid weight loss for a second. Rapid weight loss is almost the unicorn that women are looking for. They just want to lose 50 pounds in a month, and then they could be happy and fit in their clothes again and go to their 20th high school reunion and look great. But there are some real dangers in rapid weight loss. Talk about the time capsule that a fat cell is, and squeezing everything out of it too soon. What happens too fast?
Yeah. So, I guess another thing that we touch on in this program that isn't talked about anywhere else is detoxification and how to facilitate those processes in the body. And the reason that we touch on this is because our bodies accumulate toxicants, which are essentially poisons, both natural and man-made. They accumulate toxicants primarily within fat tissue. And this is, a lot of people can use mercury as an example of this, right? It's well established mercury accumulates up the food chain. They tell you, limit your consumption of like tuna, things of that nature, because it's high in mercury. Well, we're the same. We accumulate heavy metals. We accumulate persistent organic pollutants like various pesticides, airborne pollutants and toxicants that are in cigarette smoke and other forms of air pollution. All of that we accumulate in our body. And our fat cells actually play a very, very important role in that accumulation because they sequester those molecules and store them in the fat cell where they can't do harm to
us.
The rest
Yeah,
of the
well,
body.
they can't harm us, right?
But the issue is
it's like your virus vault on your software on your computer.
Yep, exactly. And so when they do that, though, there's two things that happen. The first is that if the accumulation becomes too great, then it actually starts to harm the fat cell and cause fat cell dysfunction and inflammation of the fat cells, which is like the tipping point to metabolic dysfunction. It's basically, that's what happens when someone surpasses their personal fat threshold. And so accumulating a lot of toxicants can actually lower your personal fat threshold and make it so that metabolic dysfunction happens sooner than it would normally. But the other thing it does is your fat cells secrete these toxicants back into circulation slowly over time. And this gives your liver enough time to detoxify them and excrete them from the body before they can do harm. But when you lose fat, especially if you lose fat very, very rapidly, then you're going to flood your body with these toxicants that you've stored over your lifetime. And this is a significant issue for both older adults and adults that have worked in some form of a profession with regular exposure to these toxicants because they accumulate over time. So both age and the level of exposure increase the amount that you will have stored in your fat cells. And this can cause a variety of health problems. In fact, we do actually have studies, for example, in patients undergoing bariatric surgery that show that the amount of toxicants released by their fat cells that enter into their bloodstream is a predictor of the health improvements they experience from weight loss. And so this is one potential explanation for why, if two individuals lose the same amount of fat, but they don't experience similar improvements in health, the question's why. And this is one potential explanation for that. Health improvements will be less the more toxicants you've secreted. And we also have studies showing that these toxicants impair mitochondrial function in skeletal muscle, which can promote fatigue and reduce energy expenditure, and that these toxicants can cause harm to the liver and can contribute to the development of cardiovascular diseases and diabetes. We even have researchers that have written entire review articles on this issue, asking the question, why are toxicants not considered more in obesity research? Because, I mean, the base of evidence we have so far is very strong. And
yeah, they could skew the results. Yeah, absolutely.
And so we talk about all of this, and we explain, this is what's happening, this is what could happen, and this is how you circumvent it. And we talk about ways to support the liver to amplify its detoxification processes, as well as ways to help reduce your exposure to toxicants, such as by limiting your intake of conventional produce and opting for organic, and reducing your exposure to air pollution with things like ventilation, that nature. And then also facilitating excretion by using like fiber or eating a lot of plants that have fiber to bind the bile and prevent the reabsorption of toxicants that are excreted in bile. Or sweating is a great example. We have a whole section on heat stress, not only for the hormetic benefits, but also because sweat is one of the primary pathways that your body uses to secrete both toxicants and the neutralized metabolites that your liver produces when it neutralizes the toxicants to get them out of your body. And so we address all this and give people actionable steps that they can use to reduce their toxic load and hopefully mitigate any side effects of dieting, such as, low energy levels, headaches, fatigue, and adverse effects on the liver or the skeletal system.
Well, in fact, there are studies that show that middle-aged women who undergo rapid fat loss have a 5-fold. And the reason that is because many of the things that we are intoxicated by, if I could use that word in this context, they are hormonal mimetics. They have xenoestrogens and things like phthalates, which act like androgens. A lot of these are actually selective androgen and selective estrogen receptor modulators. And when they hit your bloodstream really fast, they start to stimulate the same things that estrogen and DHT and testosterone and DHEA do. And so it makes a lot of sense that women who undergo rapid weight loss, fat loss, they tend to develop certain types of cancers during that period of time while they're undergoing this rapid weight loss. So you're right. There are things that can be done to mitigate that possibility, but you have to be aware of it first. If no one's ever told you this, you just think, oh, I'm losing weight. I've lost 50 pounds in 2 months. This is great. Meanwhile, you don't feel good. And all of a sudden stuff starts happening and you're like, well, how could this be? Like I've been overweight and unhealthy for so long. And now that I'm getting healthy, I'm getting sick. Well, it's because all these toxins that took literally 20 years to accumulate, you're releasing now in 6 months, and it's overwhelming your body. It's really sad. It's really sad. No one pays attention to this, because the other reason is because organizations that have a authority on what we are exposed to, they look at one thing, BPA. Oh, this is the safe level of BPA. They don't look at multiple routes of exposure, and they don't look at the stacking effect of multiple different things that act just like this other one. So we are so overexposed to toxins today that it's crazy. And sometimes I actually get a little anxious about it. Like, I know I'm in an environment I don't want to be in. I'm like, oh man, I don't want to be here right now because I don't want to be exposed to the smell, these fumes. But it's legitimate. I want to tell people where they can go and get this, because I'm really telling you, if you're a personal trainer, this is a worthy investment in your trade. If you're not regularly investing in your trade, you are stealing money from your clients. So you need to always be learning more. This is a curriculum. This is not just a book. What you will learn from this curriculum will carry you through the rest of your life. You'll be able to manage your weight. You'll be able to be strong and healthy and have lots of energy. But you have to step forward and make the investment in your health. And if you are a personal trainer or a clinician, the health of your clients. Doctors know nothing about nutrition. Let's be honest. The doctors are great. I love doctors. I have lots of friends that are doctors that are my good friends that I love. Brilliant guys. But out of 10 doctors, maybe 1 or 2 know anything about nutrition. Here, if you're a doctor, get this, because then you can guide your clients. Go to bit.ly. It's a bit.ly link, bit.ly/Alex Leaf. And you'll be transported to the page where you can read about it and you can order it yourself. Really, like I said, this is a curriculum. This isn't a book. You have to really want to elevate. Elevate is a popular word today. A lot of people like to use that word, but they really don't do anything to actually elevate. Step up and elevate, because this is the way to do it. Stay tuned. We'll be right back with more of Alex Lee. Everybody wants to feel better, be healthier and happier. If you don't sweat profusely on a regular basis, you won't feel as good as you could. Studies have shown the power of infrared sauna. Infrared penetrates 1 to 2 inches into the body. It helps those with back pain, fibromyalgia, arthritis, depression, and anxiety. Patients get relief from infrared sauna. The Good Health Sauna has been shown to be an exercise mimetic, conveying many of the same benefits as cardio. There are a lot of reasons people buy a Good Health Sauna, but the bottom line is you will be a much happier, healthier person by using the Good Health Sauna every day. You'll crave it, you'll love it, and it will be the best purchase you have ever made. Good Health Saunas provide commercial-grade saunas for in-home and commercial use, backed by the best lifetime warranty in the industry. Unmatched customer service and the best financing makes owning one easy and will fit any budget. Go to goodhealthsauna.com/superhumanradio to learn more and save 25% off. There's no denying that a low-carb, low-sugar keto lifestyle has been shown to reverse chronic inflammation and normalize insulin sensitivity. But we all want a sweet snack from time to time. Well, no matter what you're looking for, you'll find it at Perfect Keto. Bars, cookies, exogenous ketones, keto-friendly performance enhancers, it's all in one place. I love their chocolate quad ketone salts that balance all 4 minerals. And try their keto bars for unique taste satisfaction, all the while knowing you're staying in your keto lifestyle lane. Go to perfectketo.com/superhuman to save 20% off your purchase today.
Planet Earth CBD offers a fast-acting transdermal patch that targets your aches and pains for the relief you need. Not only is the patch uniquely patented, but it is widely believed to provide larger quantities of available cannabinoids to the source of pain than other brands' subpar products. Effective for 24 to 48 hours. Experience the benefits of Planet Earth's high-quality transdermal patch. Manufactured by Next Generation Technology in an FDA-registered facility. This pressure-sensitive adhesive delivers rich hemp extract directly through the skin. Be it a neck ache or a headache, you can count on CBD to take off the edge. Go to planetearthcbd.com today to learn more.
Over 11 million people in the U.S. have some form of retinal damage, also known as macular degeneration. This is expected to double to nearly 22 million by 2050. Artificial blue light, age, type 2 diabetes are all contributors. Doctors say there's no cure. ARMED is changing that opinion. In one clinical trial, 93% of patients had arrested or improved their condition. 54% reported lessening of glare, reduced dryness, and improved clarity and comfort. And 0% felt worse during treatment and no side effects. Take control of your macular degeneration or keep it from ever occurring. Go to wisechoicemedicine.com and get armed today. I love beef. And if you love beef, listen up. I've discovered the best tasting beef in the world, and that's not an exaggeration, at Piedmontese.com. The Piedmontese breed is famous from Italy for being lean and unbelievably tender with half the fat and calories of traditional beef. Even typically tough cuts are tender when it comes from the Piedmontese cows. And for the first time, get 2 free 10-ounce New York strips when you purchase $50 or more at Piedmontese.com with code SHR. Go to Piedmontese.com and use code SHR today. You will never eat any other type of beef ever again.
New Mass Pro Synthogen X2 just upped its own legendary game. To distance itself even further from the rest of the pack, Synthogen X2 now has double the key active ingredients. If you've ever wondered what steroid-like recovery feels like, Synthogen X2 delivers. See why others compare it favorably to powerful bodybuilding drugs at synthogen.com. Mass Pro Synthogen. When you train with it, you'll gain with it.
You're listening to the Superhuman Channel. We're ripped and we're ready.
Welcome back. We're talking with Alex Leaf about the fat loss blueprint. But before we move forward, I have to do a little shameless pimping because I found a new product that I'm really excited about. Many of us can do a good job at dieting and preparing food, but the problem we run into is when it comes time to snack. I'm guilty of this. If I don't have a good healthy snack in the house, I'm going to turn to eating things I shouldn't. And one of the snacks that I've recently found is a product called Huevos. Huevos is a snack chip that's made with egg whites. A great source of protein and fiber in every bag. Low carb and no grains, no GMOs, nothing bad, only good. Great crunch. Elisa loves them. I love them. They're very, very light. They're enjoyable. When you just want something to crunch on, this egg white chip is a great choice. It's the first chip to be made from egg whites, and you can get 15% off by using the code SHR and going to this following link, bit.ly/Huevos Chips. Quevoschips. Again, it's a bit.ly link, bit.ly/Huevos Chips, Quevoschips. Remember to use the code SHR to get 15% off. You'll love them, I promise. Check them out, show them some love. Back to the discussion. Let me just get my screen back to order here. So let's talk more about the fat loss blueprint. You have a master's in nutrition, but you are also somebody who has real world experience. There's a big difference, right? The average dietitian isn't going to give people this kind of information. Isn't that a truism?
Well, yeah, I would definitely say the average dietitian doesn't know half the things that we talk about in this program, because, well, they simply aren't related to nutrition. Things like optimizing hormetic stress through heat and cold exposure, or stress management, or the dieting mindset, the women's tips and tricks, knowing about what fat burning supplements actually work and which are going to be a waste of your money. And
so let's talk about those. Let's talk about those, because I also know that you used to be a fan, not anymore, of DNP. And so you really know what fat loss products work. And I'll say that with all admiration for your bravery, because I've never tried DNP and I won't. But what supplements on the market really work? What will people learn in this book that will give them that extra maybe 2 or 3% push?
Yeah. So so my background was as a senior researcher for examine.com for several years. And so that got me really immersed into more of the supplement field. And then during my time there, we started branching out more into nutrition as well. But there are, countless products on the market that are advertised for fat loss that either don't work at all. Things like Hoodia Gordani do not have any solid clinical research supporting their use. Neither does raspberry ketones. But then there's other compounds that do, like conjugated linoleic acid, CLA. It does have research supporting its use, but the clinical benefit you could expect from it is about 1 pound over the course of 1 to 2 months. And so it's questionable. It's basically like it's probably not worth your money, because especially if you're somebody with, overweight or obesity, it's not a good use of your time or your money. You should focus your efforts elsewhere. On the other hand, you have things like caffeine. Caffeine can increase your metabolic rate over the waking day by anywhere between 5 and 10% if you consume it regularly. But then you develop tolerance. And there's also differences in genetic polymorphisms that affect whether you will experience a benefit at all. And so we discuss all of this and help people kind of navigate to figure out, is it the right supplement for you? Then there's compounds like yohimbine, where if you're overweight or obese, it's not going to help you, because yohimbine's special effects are really for people that are lean and they're shooting for those six-pack abs because of the way that it works. And we cover things that don't just have these thermogenic or direct fat loss effects, but also appetite suppressants like 5-HTP, and things that block your absorption of nutrients like white kidney bean extract. And we discuss under what circumstances it might be appropriate to use it and who is likely to experience the greatest benefit. And we tell them the dosing that they should do. Basically, the only thing we don't do is actually tell them what supplement to go out and buy. But we give them all the information they need to vet supplements to see if they're getting a clinically effective dose, to figure out how they should take it throughout the day, and to figure out if they should even be considering it or if it just wouldn't be right for them.
So sleep is a very, very important modulator of weight loss. In fact, it's tied to insulin resistance in a lot of people. Do you cover sleep in the blueprint at all?
Yeah, definitely. We have a whole lesson plan on circadian rhythms and sleep because of their importance.
So what about people who think they're sleeping well, but I always say on the show, just because you close your eyes for 8 hours and lay in the same spot doesn't mean you actually slept. Would you agree with that statement?
Yeah, definitely. And for those individuals, basically, there's no possible way we're going to be able to address everyone's individual unique circumstances, right? And so in this program, we do our best to give the information that is going to lead to a benefit. And so when we talk about sleeping, it's not just, hey, try to get 8 hours per night. It's, okay, you should probably be sleeping more than 7 hours per night, and that should be quality sleep. So how can we do that? Well, there's a ton of ways that have been investigated to benefit sleep. And these are things like getting morning sunlight or bright light exposure, avoiding artificial light at night, cooling your room before you go to bed, letting your core body temperature drop, supplementing specific compounds like melatonin, and also de-stressing, engaging in some form of meditation or relaxation. These are all things that have clinical evidence behind them to benefit sleep quality and sleep duration. And so we talk about all of that, and we give them a plan for how what should they be doing to make sure that their sleep and their circadian rhythms are optimized, because it does play a role in fat loss and body composition. I mean, we have studies showing that taking, for example, if you take someone with obesity and you have them sleep 5.5 hours per night on a weight loss diet, that 30% of their weight loss will be from fat on 5.5 hours per night, and the rest is lean body tissue. But if you make them sleep 7.5 hours each night, then you actually see a reversal. 70% of their weight loss becomes fat mass. And this is under otherwise identical conditions where all of their food is supplied to them by the research staff. So it's not like it's due to changes in their appetite and them eating different amounts of food. It's literally, it affects you on a physiological level that changes your body composition.
Yeah, sleep is a big one. And I got to tell you, I've stopped trusting sleep tracking. Well, I not all of them. There's a couple really good ones out there, but I've stopped trusting my Oura Ring to tell me how well I'm sleeping, because my Oura Ring, let's say I had a 96 sleep last night and I'll wake up feeling like crap. And I'm like, okay, so the ring is happy with my sleep, but my body isn't happy with my sleep. And I literally took my Oura Ring off. I used the sleep on ring a couple times a month to just get my kind of bore sight, make sure I'm not having any AHIs, my blood oxygen dropping and things like that, and my toss and turn. But the reality is that I've gone back to just paying attention to how I feel in the morning. When I wake up in the morning, if I'm compelled to stretch, oh man, I know I had a great sleep. I know it, because whenever I feel like I need to stretch in the morning, and I just get when you get that stretch out, it's almost like lordosis. It's like you just feel good, and I'm ready to jump out of bed. And then I'll look at my ring and it'll say, "Oh, your sleep sucked last night." I finally said, "The hell with you, man! You're confusing me." We have a viewer asking a question. For some reason, your security settings will not allow your name to pass through, where can you get the book? You can go to it's a bit.ly link, bit.ly/Alex Leaf. Very, very easy to remember. bit.ly/Alex Leaf to learn more about the book. And it's not just a book. This is a compendium of books. It's a curriculum. It's a lot of information. You will feel like you actually got something. A lot of times I'll buy something online and I'll get it and I'll go, wow, the hype was so much better than the product. This is the exact opposite. The product is so much better than the hype. Again, it's bit.ly/Alex Leaf, ALEXLEAF, one word. That's where you go to get it. What else?
Carl,
Good, I'm sorry. Yes.
Yeah, real quick, I just want to expand on that and say that it's very much like an online course you would take. So every lesson plan is broken down where you not only have a document with all of the links to the research that we use to put it together, but I also created PowerPoint presentations, and I sit there and I present it to you as if I were lecturing to a class. So it's not in a book format at all. You have access to a PowerPoint video lecture. You have access to the audio in case you can't watch anything, and you have access to the actual document where we have summarized everything I talk about and included hyperlinks to all of the published literature supporting my statements so that you can see it is truly evidence-based. And in addition to these 18 lessons, you also get access to a private Facebook group where you have unlimited access for the rest of your life to myself, Brianna, and Ari, and some coaches that we've hired to work in there to ask questions so that you can actually take this information and apply it to yourself if you need help doing that. And on top of all that, we're just going to be finishing up over the next 2 weeks some live Q&A sessions that we've did for the people who bought into the program when it first launched. And so you'll have access to 16 Q&A sessions that last anywhere between 2 and 4 hours long a piece, where people ask questions related to fat loss and also related to anything else that they're interested in. So a ton of information contained in this program.
Again, you can go to the link bit.ly. It's a bit.ly link. It's bit.ly/Alex Leaf to learn more and get on the road to helping a lot of people. If you're a personal trainer or a clinician, this is a must-have. I wonder if could this be a CEU type thing? Could you actually get continuing education credits under this?
I have no idea. That's something I haven't looked into. But I would hope so, given the depth of information that we cover.
Exactly. All right, we're going to take one last commercial break. We're going to wrap it up with Alex Leaf, and then after that, we're going to be joined to talk about breast milk and exercise, mothers exercising. We see a lot of moms out there exercising nowadays, and there are some real transferable benefits to their children. Stay tuned.
Unlock your potential with the best cognitive enhancement and anti-aging supplements on the market. PureNootropics.net goes the extra mile for the highest quality ingredients, third-party tested to make sure you only receive the best your money can buy. There's no better choice with their money-back guarantee and free shipping. Try their best-selling DHM. Dihydromyricetin prevents hangovers and helps deliver detox after a night of drinking. Get your DHM and other nootropics and longevity supplements from PureNootropics.net, the purest supplements around.
Select Savory Snacks Original Biltong is the healthier alternative to sugar-laden beef jerky. Their sugar-free biltong is seasoned and then air-dried for up to 2 weeks, providing you with one of the most tender and flavorful meat snacks that you've ever had. They also use a fattier cut of beef, which adds to the tenderness and gives their biltong even better flavor. Select Savory Snacks Original Biltong is the perfect snack or travel companion for your busy life. Get a free bottle of Ranch-tastic seasoning with every order. Free shipping on orders of $99 or more. Get yours today at Select Savory Snacks redconsnacks.com/SHR. Whether your goal is to build muscle or burn fat, you'll find everything you need at Redcon One. Need help getting a good night's sleep? Try Fade Out, or the most popular pre-workout supplement on the market today, Total War. Sign up for their new Transformation Challenge and win $10,000, or shop for apparel that people at the gym will know that you are serious about your training. Need a testosterone booster that works? Check out Boomstick. Whatever you need, you'll find the best quality supplements on the market at Redcon One. Go to redcon1.com. That's REDCON, the number 1.com, or go to superhumanradio.net and click the Redcon One banner ad today. Do you remember those delicious toaster pastries you had when you were a kid? You know, the rectangular sugar-filled snacks? Well, guess what? Legendary Foods has just made low-carb toaster pastry. This is the first of its kind, and honestly, these things are amazing. They have 3 to 4 net carb, less than 1 gram of sugar, and 9 grams of protein. You can eat them right out of the wrapper or lightly toast them. The only question is, which flavor, strawberry or brown sugar cinnamon? They're available at eatlegendary.com and Amazon. If you suffer from digestive issues like gas, bloating, cramping, even when you're eating healthy, nutritious foods, then you could probably benefit from a high-quality enzyme. As you know, I'm a mega fan of Bioptimizers. They're one of the few supplement companies who I use religiously because their products work. I asked them for a great deal for my listeners, and they over-delivered. Right now, you can get a bottle of Masszyme for free. All you need to do is pay a small shipping fee, and there's no catch, no tricks, no forced continuity, nothing to cancel. They're so confident in their product that they offer a 365-day money-back guarantee. I'm positive you'll love the results. I strongly suggest you head over to their site to grab your free bottle before this offer runs out. Go to masszymes.com/SHR free. That's MASSZYMES.com/SHRFREE, all one word. You will automatically get access to your unique coupon code to claim your free bottle, and there's a limit, 1 per household. Are you still on the fence about Body Protection Complex BPC Oral from drseeds.com? Listen to Maggie Kuhn, one of the owners of the C-Bus Lifting Company gym in Columbus, Ohio.
I had been having some nagging tendon issues that weren't injuries, just things that were annoying. You know, I'm 58 years old, so just older tendon kind of issues. For us powerlifters, you know, we really don't stop training when we have just nagging issues. We just kind of keep pushing through. And I started the BPC. What I noticed was I was doing some heavy tricep stuff that would have killed me before when I had an elbow problem, and I was able to do this with literally no pain at all.
Go to drseeds.com, drseeds.com. Use coupon code SHR and save 20% off your bottle of BPC Body Protection Complex today.
Spit that out right now. This is the Superhuman Channel.
Welcome back. We're talking with Alex Leaf. Alex used to write for Superhuman Radio. Oh, so long ago. So anyway, I just want to wrap up the discussion. This is far beyond anything that anyone is going to get from a book. This is actually, like I said before, a curriculum. This is something that you will learn from. You can teach other people as well. It should be looked at by professionals as well. What else will people find in this that we didn't touch on, maybe that you feel is critical when we talk about effective fat loss strategies?
You know, I would probably say the most important aspect of fat loss strategies is going to be getting yourself in the right mindset. And when I talk about that, I talk about really kind of being honest with yourself, understanding the cognitive biases and fallacies that you have playing in your head, that everyone has playing in their head, and how to be able to recognize them and overcome them, and how to set up your environment to take advantage of certain habit loops that people are prone to. So as an example of this, you know, people are pretty familiar with the terms abstainer versus a moderator. And so it's figuring out, you know, which group do you fall into? Because that's going to determine how you approach your fat loss diet. If you have certain foods that you simply cannot stop eating, then you need to just be honest with yourself, acknowledge that, and do your best to keep those foods out of your environment. On the other hand, if you're a moderator, you can't keep foods out of your environment because it's when you feel deprived of them that you go off the wagon. And so you need to be able to continue to give yourself moderate amounts of those pleasures. Similarly, we get caught up in the negativity bias, where from an evolutionary perspective, we're much more keen on negative occurrences in nature than we are positive ones. Because, yeah, you found some honey and that's great. You're fed for a day or two. But if you encounter like a poison plant that could kill you, well, that's kind of a more serious circumstance to remember, right?
Yeah, that's right. It's a reason why we're all glued to the news, because we are designed to find the danger in our environment. The problem is our environment has become the whole globe now, and people are busy worrying about the danger from other countries that they have no control over. But you're right. We're genetically predisposed to look for the danger and the negative. Exactly.
Yeah, and so we want to talk about that, because a lot of people, it happens to everyone, but a lot of people aren't aware that it happens. And so it's reminding them that this is the whole reason you're focused on all these negatives, is because that's how we're designed. And thankfully, you have a prefrontal cortex. You can actively change the way that you think about the situation. You just need to shift your perspective, find the silver linings, find the good in the situation, and move forward with that. Don't get discouraged. Willpower and ego depletion are real things that occur. If you're making hard choices, make the hard choices earlier in the day. If you need to, for example, if you're busy all day, then prep your dinner in the morning so that it's already there to eat at night when you're tired and you don't have the willpower to resist the snacks. You have your food already prepared, so it circumvents getting off of your diet plan. And then, of course, just being gentle with yourself, understanding that you're going to go off the rails sometimes. You're going to make mistakes. It's not the end of the world. It's no reason to continue driving off the cliff. It's like, just stop and turn around and get back on the tracks.
So it's interesting. Meal prep is probably 70% of success for people who are trying to change the way they eat. It's said, I remember reading a long time ago that we eat 9 different things a week on average, people. We have the things that we go to, and you just have to replace some of those things and learn to start eating those. And then meal prep becomes very, very easy. You don't have to put a lot of thought into it. But you're absolutely right. Having food already picked out for all of your meals keeps you from the excuse of, well, I'm just going to eat this whole bag of sweet potato chip, but they're sweet potato. They're good for you. It's like, I'm just going to eat the whole bag. But your meal prep is a really big thing. Most people think they don't have the time to meal prep. I literally meal prep in 10 minutes every single morning. And it's not always elaborate, gourmet meals. Sometimes it's 2 ounces of biltong in a plastic bag and an ounce of plantain chips, baked plantain chips, and a quarter cup of walnuts. And I do that 6 times. I got 6 meals. And people go, oh, well, that's horrible. No, it's not horrible. I eat every 2.5 hours. It's very satisfying. Every 2.5 hours, I'm hungry again, and I eat the same thing, and I love it. But meal prep is very overlooked. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, completely. It's about setting up your environment for success and establishing habits, because you cannot engage on a fat loss journey and expect to just change things temporarily. It's about establishing new habits. And actually, this is something I did forget to mention earlier that's unique about this program too, is that the very final lesson, we have examples of how to apply all the information we talked about. And we created habit spectrums for very important key components of this program, like diet, physical activity, and circadian rhythms. And you can literally look at your current habits in each of these areas and place yourself on a spectrum of where you're at, a 6-point spectrum. And you can say, look, you're over here, you're at like level 1 habits. These are the habits that are going to keep you obese. And you need to get over, depending on what your end goal is, you need to work your way towards level 1 habits, which are the habits you need to have in place and do on a regular basis if you expect to maintain one of those lean physiques. And so it gives people a really kind of a good way of visualizing their progress. Like, okay, I'm now at level 4 and I want to get to 3. What needs to change? And we tell them, these are the things that you need to be working on to get to level 3.
Yeah, it's great. So I'm going to give the website the URL one more time. It's bit.ly/Alex Leaf, ALEXLEAF, all one word, to learn more about the Fat Loss Blueprint. If you are a clinician, if you are a professional, if you're a personal trainer, this is absolutely an investment you need to make. And if you're just somebody who literally wants to take control of your body composition once and for all, and not have to go on yo-yo diets or run to the first supplement that comes out every single year that promises you weight loss, learn the real information about nutrition. Learn, because you'll be rewarded for the rest of your life. We know now that glucose signaling is what causes cellular senescence. Everybody hears about senescent cells today as being the root of aging. Well, you know what? If you have constantly raging blood sugar and insulin levels, you are aging faster. And if you're aging faster, you're going to feel age-related diseases come on sooner. So this kind of stuff, this is really the way medicine should work. We should teach people the right ways to eat so that they don't get sick in the first place. And this is where you learn something like this. It's not a book. This is not a book. This is an actual curriculum, 18 lessons, and it will change your life. So again, the website is bit.ly/Alex Leaf. It's the Fat Loss Blueprint. I know Alex for a very, very long time. And here's something I can tell you about Alex. He takes this stuff very seriously, more seriously than anybody I've ever met. And he would not put his name on a document like this unless it delivered more than promised. Very, very proud of you and what you've done with your life. And I'm happy for you and Brianna. And you got a little leaf coming soon. So I'm excited about that. Right?
Yes. Thank you so much, Carl.
Yeah. Okay. And good luck with this. And I hope people buy it because it'll change. This has the ability to change people's lives. It really does. Because knowledge is power, but you got to apply it. Alex, thanks for being here today, brother.
Thank you so much for having me, man.
Yeah, take care. We'll talk soon. All right, we're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, I'm the only podcaster that I know of that talks about breast milk. I've been talking about breast milk for almost 14 years now. Why is that? It's because breast milk is the only thing in nature made to be food. We're talking about nutrition. We can learn a lot from breast milk. We can unlock secrets of what the human body actually needs. And today we're going to be talking in just a moment with Dr. Kristin Stanford about a study that was just published. I see more and more moms at the gym. When I see a pregnant woman at the gym, I always make sure to walk up to her and I say, you're doing the best thing you can for that baby. And they always say, well, I hope so. I hope so. My mother tells me I shouldn't. My sister tells me I shouldn't. No. From an evolutionary perspective, you're doing the best thing you can for that baby. Well, it turns out that even breast milk changes for those moms who exercise. We're going to take one quick commercial break and we're going to come back and discuss this. Stay tuned. You're watching Superhuman Radio. Chronic stress leaves us tired, distracted, and physically vulnerable. Apollo Neuro is here to help you take control. Apollo Neuro is a new wearable that trains your nervous system to be more resilient to stress. Apollo's gentle vibrations use your sense of touch to help you recover from stress, going from fight or flight to rest and digest so you can relax, get to sleep, focus, and stay healthy. Developed by physicians and neuroscientists, Apollo Neuro has been tested in multiple clinical trials and is proven to improve heart rate variability, the key biometric of stress. Special offer for friends of Superhuman Radio. Try Apollo Neuro today and get 15% off your purchase at apolloneuro.com/superhuman. That's APOLLONEURO.com/superhuman. I love beef. And if you love beef, listen up. I've discovered the best tasting beef in the world, and that's not an exaggeration, at Piedmontese.com. The Piedmontese breed is famous from Italy for being lean and unbelievably tender with half the fat and calories of traditional beef. Even typically tough cuts are tender when it comes from the Piedmontese cows. And for the first time ever, Piedmontese cows are being raised here in the USA. Get 2 free 10-ounce New York strips when you purchase $50 or more at Piedmontese.com with code SHR. Go to PIEDMONTESE.com and use code SHR today. You will never eat any other type of beef ever again. Whether your goal is to build muscle or burn fat, you'll find everything you need at Redcon One. Need help getting a good night's sleep? Try Fade Out, or the most popular pre-workout supplement on the market today, Total War. Sign up for their new Transformation Challenge and win $10,000, or shop for apparel that people at the gym will know that you are serious about your training. Need a testosterone booster that works? Check out Boomstick. Whatever you need, you'll find the best quality supplements on the market at Redcon One. Go to redcon1.com. That's REDCON, the number 1.com, or go to superhumanradio.net and click the Redcon One banner ad today. Are you still on the fence about Body Protection Complex BPC Oral from drseeds.com? Listen to Maggie Kuhn, one of the owners of the C-Bus lifting company, Gym, in Columbus, Ohio.
I had been having some nagging tendon issues that weren't injuries, just things that were annoying. I'm 58 years old, so just older tendon kind of issues. For us powerlifters, we really don't stop training when we have just nagging issues. We just kind of keep pushing through. And I started the BPC. What I noticed was I was doing some heavy tricep stuff that would have killed me before when I had an elbow problem, and I was able to do this with literally no pain at all.
Go to drseeds.com, drseeds.com. Use coupon code SHR and save 20% off your bottle of BPC Body Protection Complex today.
Quest Nutrition makes bars, cookies, chips, and pizzas out of complete dairy-based proteins. Our products minimize net carbs and sugar without sacrificing taste. Each delicious chocolate-flavored chip, cookie chunk, and crunchy crumble is custom-made to maintain Quest macros. It's time to enjoy foods that work for you, not against you. It's time to enjoy your Quest.
You've heard me talk about the chill pill on the show and how effective it is at helping people who suffer from social anxiety, or sometimes when you just want to take the edge off to a long, stressful day. Well, listen to this story from Dylan Goutreau.
Definitely takes anxiety away, which I have a long history of having. Started out at 2 milligrams a day of Xanax. That was at 8 years old. And so I stopped using benzos 3 years ago. Extremely difficult. Yeah, so I spent about 3 years trying to find anything and everything I could that would be healthy for me to help with anxiety. Because I'm talking, full out panic attack. The chill pill was the first thing that I found that actually in the middle of a panic attack I can take, and it definitely subsides.
Go to drseeds.com. That's drseeds.com. Use coupon code SHR and save 20% off your first bottle of the chill pill. Check it out. I promise this is one supplement that delivers.
This is the Superhuman Channel, where brawn and brains finally meet.
Welcome back to Superhuman Radio. And welcome to Dr. Kristin Stanford. How are you, Dr. Stanford?
Hey, Carl, I'm great. Thanks. How are you?
Can you hear me okay?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Okay, good. Yes, wonderful. Yes, perfect. This is a very exciting discussion to me. As I said earlier in the intro, I have paid attention to and talked about breast milk for a very, very long time on the show because I feel like it has secrets in it that can help us better understand the human condition. And so talk about this study. The study that you and your colleagues just produced over at Ohio State. Why this study? What preceded this that made you look at the changes in breast milk in women who exercise?
Sure. So we actually started working on this area in about 10 years ago when I was in Lori Goodyear's lab. And we became really interested in looking at maternal exercise. And we used predominantly a rodent model in my lab. And when Lori and I started talking about this, we were looking and there was all this data that showed that maternal obesity could affect children and that maternal undernutrition could affect children. We realized no one had really looked at maternal exercise. All the studies in humans had really been correlative. So asking women after they'd had their babies what they had done, how they had been active, but not really recording it. And obviously it's harder to do in adult humans. So we decided to look at a mouse model. And what we saw was that if the moms exercised both before and during pregnancy, we saw these really striking beneficial effects on their offspring. So we took the offspring, so the mouse babies, and aged them out for about a year. And as they aged, if their moms had exercised, they were protected from body weight gain, from changes in fat mass. They had improved glucose metabolism. And what was really exciting is that if the moms were on a high-fat diet and they exercised, their offspring still had improved effects. So it seemed that maternal exercise could negate the effects of a maternal high-fat diet. And it's always easier to tell or at least I think, to tell someone to go for a walk instead of to not eat their ice cream. So we became really interested in determining why this was happening. And we had a couple different ideas. We thought there could be some epigenetic changes, and we haven't ruled those out. I'm sure there are other factors that contribute to this. But we became really interested in looking at the breast milk to see if that could be altered during exercise. So what we were able to do initially was, in collaboration with Lars Bode, who's at UC San Diego, was send him samples from mice that had been exercised or sedentary, and then fed a high-fat diet or fed a high-fat diet and exercise. And he measured these sugars that are called human milk oligosaccharides. And we found that one of them was really different. It was very increased if the mice exercised. And importantly, if the moms were on a high-fat diet, it was decreased. But if they were on a high-fat diet and exercise, it was still elevated. So it seemed that exercise itself was increasing this.
Now, there's been some studies that showed that some of these sugars, these polysaccharides that are found in breast milk, are there to actually feed the microbes that the mom is passing through in her milk as well. So, did you look at any of the microbial diversity of the moms and the offspring that these benefits were conferred to?
We did not. We were really just focused on initially looking to see what was different, and then looking at metabolism. And so, like what you said is totally correct. These have been identified to play a role in the microbiome and in immunology, but no one had really looked to see if there was any metabolic change in response to increasing or decreasing these oligosaccharides. And so we kind of took that angle to look and see how that could be affected in the offspring.
Now, when we talk about exercise, so first of all, I've been known to say on this show that exercise is an artificial alternative to what we used to do, right? So when we were hunter-gatherers, a mom would have a baby, but the whole time she was pregnant, she was still working to gather calories for herself, calories for the family, participating with the community. And even after she gave birth, she didn't lay around very long. She had a new baby to feed, and she had to make breast milk, so she had to go out and find calories and so on and so forth. So from an evolutionary perspective, this makes perfect sense to me. But we're not talking about heroic. When we talk about exercise, we're not talking about going into the gym and pounding away. We're talking about just activity here, walking more, right?
Right. So yeah, and that's a great point. I mean, people would argue that really a sedentary group is probably the experimental group, because we should be exercising, we should be training more. And mice, when we put them in a wheel cage, they're very content just to run. They'll run about 8 kilometers a day. What we were able to do with this, right? And they're little.
Yeah, I know that's a lot of ground to cover if you're a little mouse. I know.
They're very content just to keep going. But again, we don't track how fast they're going. It's just how much they cover during the day. When we also collaborated with Aileen Andres, who's at the Arkansas Children's Nutrition Center for this, and she ran the human study. And what was really exciting about her work was that they basically put something similar to Fitbits on pregnant women and tracked their activity and their steps per day, and found that the women who had more steps per day or higher activity levels had increased 3SL in their breast milk. And what's really exciting about that is just like going for a walk. It's not, it didn't matter how intense the activity was. We're not actually sure how intense the activity was, but they were definitely moving more. They were more active. And just that act of being more active, even independent of what their body weight was enough to increase the 3SL in their breast milk.
So this is another important distinction. So I've always applauded women who were at the gym while they were pregnant. They're doing whatever they're doing, Pilates or stretching or yoga or even lifting weights or just walking on the treadmill. And I've always thought this is so good for that baby. But that the postpartum activity was tracked also in some of these women. Did higher levels of 3SL persist in women who continued to stay active after giving birth?
So we did not look at that quite as closely. So we measured breast milk 2 months after giving birth, but we didn't track their activity those months. So this was that just activity during their pregnancy was enough to maintain that increase even 2 months after giving birth. I think that would be a really interesting question. Something we'd like to do is, be able to really track that and see, if they're more active. Obviously, assuming if they had a healthy childbirth, and were able to recover, able to be more active, how would that affect things? In a mouse model, we see that the mice, they hop right back on the wheel cage immediately after giving birth. We've actually had to kind of take the wheel out of the cages so that we're able to control for only their exercise during pregnancy. in that sense, because they're very happy just to start running almost immediately after.
But from an evolutionary perspective, it makes sense that the 3SL would persist and maybe even rise postpartum. The mom stays active. That would be interesting. The other thing is, I would love to find out, and probably no one will ever fund this one, but so you have the group, they stay active, they have high levels of 3SL, they give birth, and then the offspring, the female offspring, do not stay active during pregnancy to see if there are still any transgenerational benefits from grandma. That even though this little rodent didn't exercise, grandma gave that baby something that carried on.
No, it's a great point. And I'm not sure we'll be able to do that in humans, but in a mouse model, we're starting to be able to do that. And we do see that there are some effects that are transferred from the grandma to the offspring, or to the grandchild. So it does look like there's something that is definitely transmitted across. So something that's definitely
generations. Yeah, that would be interesting.
Yeah.
So moderate exercise raises 3SL, but 3SL seems to reduce the risk of heart disease, diabetes, and obesity in the offspring. Those are the three big things that kill Americans today.
Right. So it was really exciting when we gave this compound back to mice. We were able to track them again. So we only supplemented 3SL during the nursing period. For mice, that's about 3 weeks. And when we did that, when we tracked those mice out throughout about a year, we saw that the male offspring in this case had reduced body weight and improved glucose metabolism, so less likely to develop diabetes. They also had less fat mass, and the female offspring had protected cardiovascular effects. So
I'm sorry,
yes.
I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead.
So, I mean, definitely more work needs to be done in humans to really make sure that this is truly translatable. But at least in the mouse model, I think the data is pretty exciting. And we also were able to show that if we put the offspring on a high-fat diet and supplemented the 3SL, that those offspring were protected from the effects of a high-fat diet.
So that was my next question. So will we see, I am an unfortunate baby boomer. My mom smoked when she was pregnant with me. I got formula. I was a C-section baby, and my mother was taking Librium while she was pregnant with me, which was one of the original benzodiazepines. So I have no shot. The fact that I'm 62 years old and I'm still alive to me is always amazing. But given that, will we see formula manufacturers start to incorporate 3SLs in the formula? This sounds like, at least, if a mom is unable to breastfeed or for whatever reason chooses not to, it seems like these 3SLs should be incorporated into formula today.
I mean, that's our hope. And again, I think more work needs to be done to really show that these benefits are conferred to humans. But I think showing even that in women who are more active, they have increased 3SL, kind of supports that idea. And there are several women who can't breastfeed, who aren't able to exercise during pregnancy for a litany of reasons. And so I think this would be important for them, or to provide any type of protective effects towards their babies.
So, and that was my ex-wife's situation. She had 3 high-risk pregnancies. She was bedridden. She vomited constantly. She was constantly dehydrated. Exercise or even activity was not a non-starter for her. Would the mom who is bedridden during a pregnancy and then either can't or chooses not to breastfeed, no, it doesn't matter. If she is going to breastfeed, would giving her 3SLs be a benefit that they would pass through to the baby? Would they be incorporated into the breast milk?
I'm not quite sure how that would work. I think I would think that the easiest would be to put it in a formula in that sense, because I don't, it's produced in the mammary gland, so it would be produced really in the milk itself. So I'm not sure if you could supplement it into the mom to do that. But being able to put it into either into her breast milk or into formula, I think could have potential. I think we just we need to look and see a little bit more really what we could do in humans. But I think the potential definitely is there for that to have some improved effects.
Do you think 3SLs are something that people could supplement with later in life and get any kind of protective mechanism from them?
Yeah, it's a great question, and we would really like to start looking at that now. It's been really interesting because we only supplement for 3 weeks, so really in a mouse model, just from when they're 0 to 3 weeks, and then we're looking 49 weeks later to see what happens, and we're still seeing these preserved effects. There could be a lot that's different in the adult, but I think there's definitely potential, something worth looking at to see if we can supplement it, if it would have any beneficial effects. And so that's kind of where our lab's going now, to see if we can do that, at least in a mouse, and see if we can see any changes.
I wonder if we can get any passive data from, they're not hunter-gatherers, but they're definitely more primitive, and that is the Mennonites and the Amish. You know, their women are known to continue to work through pregnancy and continue to work after pregnancy. They breastfeed because they don't believe in formula or doctors or anything like that. It would be interesting to be able to look at some data from that subset of the population and see if there's any magic happening.
Absolutely. And one of those things that's kind of tricky in human studies is because if the parents are more active, typically the children are more active. And so in a lot of those communities, you've got the kids who are at a very young age more active and more helping, or they're helping to work, and they're out moving. They're not sitting in front of the TV. And so it's an interesting point, because you've got these effects from the mom, and then the environmental effects as well, to see how those benefits kind of pull on. But I think it's very important. There's some studies that have looked in countries where they have a true wet and dry season, and looked at children who are born in the wet season where they're more sedentary versus in the dry season where they're more active. And they do see effects in the offspring. I don't know if they've ever looked at the breast milk.
I would imagine colder climates would have something. Like if you live in a very cold climate like Alaska, where there's just not an option to go for a walk, that would be interesting to look at as well. Although the Inuit would also be interesting. So I had a question in my mind and it literally just jumped out. This is what happens because I'm thinking of three things at one time. The what about the OBGYNs that tell their patients to lay around, just rest, you're making a baby, eat what you want, don't worry about getting around? There's still a lot of those old-fashioned docs out there. What would you say to them?
Well, I think each pregnancy is different, and I think each woman needs to consult with their physician, especially if they have not been active before pregnancy, to make sure that they're not putting themselves or their baby at risk. But I think something as mild as a walk, or increasing your steps per day, I think those can be done relatively safely. And I think we've seen that even doing some of those things are enough to see some improvements. Increasing activity even mildly. Not changing in intensity, but just doing more, just going for a longer walk or something like that could result in some of these beneficial effects. And so, I mean, there's data too that's shown that activity actually increases the health of the mom and increases their risks, right, or lowers their risks during pregnancy. So I think those are really important. I think it obviously depends on the woman themselves and their health conditions, but I think in most cases, just being able to increase activity would be a pretty important step forward.
What would you want clinicians and lay people to take away from this paper?
Exercise.
Yeah.
I think it really just amplifies the effect that exercising, even any type of movement during your pregnancy, is going to be of benefit to you and to your child. And again, we tracked in this human study. We started recording them after they were in their first trimester, towards the end of their first trimester, and saw that what their steps per day were. And as there were more, we saw these health benefits, again, independent of exercise intensity, independent of effort, just movement. And so I think just to highlight how important that is to both you and your baby is really important.
Very good. Very, very good. Yeah, I love this kind of stuff. I wish my mother would have breastfed. I'm Italian, and we didn't have a lot of money. And the idea that they went out and bought formula, and I asked my mother years later when she was still alive, I said, why didn't you breastfeed? She goes, because we were told that formula was better, and we wanted you to have the best. And I'm thinking, so many people have been robbed of real benefits of breast milk because we were told by science that formula is better for you. Like the stuff we make in the lab is better than the stuff that comes out of your breast. And now we realize that that's just not true. And when you look at evolution and everything else that goes along with it, it's just like, it's ridiculous. But that was the common belief back then. Very, very sad. Yeah. I want to thank you so much for your work. I love this. I love anything that makes women feel confident to stay active during pregnancy, because we know that their children are born healthier. We know that they deliver easier. We know that they don't put on near as much weight there's a big debate on how much weight should a woman put on. And the reality is just the minimum that you need to deliver the baby. Really, that's really all you need. And so this is great research. Thank you so much for taking time to come on the show today.
Thanks for having me. This has been great.
Take care.
Thanks.
Care. That's it for today. We have great shows. I'm off the air Friday. I'm actually going to Lexington to the Castle. Some of you may know about the Castle. But there's a group of doctors there that are doing some amazing things. I'm going to go, Elisa and I are going to go visit with them on Friday. So I'm off the air on Friday, but we have 5 shows already planned for next week. And we hope that you can make them. Please share the show. Always share the show. We can help a lot more people if a lot more people hear the show. And that's all this is about. It's only about helping people. That really is all it is at the end of the day. So thank you for your help. Share the show. We'll see you tomorrow.